Hey guys, welcome to the Covenant Keeper podcast. This is Brent.
And this is Lucy.
And we'd like to welcome you to our first episode here at Covenant Keeper.
Yes, welcome. This is our pilot show.
It is. And only God knows what's going to come out of this because we are really just winging it. Winging it. So now, before we get started, we'd like to share a little bit with you about who we are. I mean, some of you, I'm assuming, know us. You've probably been to maybe one of our marriage groups, or you went to church with us, or maybe you've only known us in passing. But we want to give a little bit more of our background so you can become more familiar with on who you're listening to here. So do you want to go first, babe? You want me to go first?
Well, you're doing such a great job. I think you should go first.
Okay, well, I would like to bring it together because that's what this is all about. It's about marriage. So Lucy and I, we have been married as of right now for, it'll be 12 years on April the 26th.
As you look up at the date on the framed artwork in our room.
So in case you guys don't know, we are actually recording this straight from our bedroom.
Yep.
Now, no, don't get dirty-minded or anything. It's literally, we're sitting on the bed, and I actually, which my wife, somebody gave this to us on our wedding day, I guess, right? That's what it was, a wedding gift?
Yep.
But it's been the best wedding gift I've ever had. It's actually a plaque it's on the wall. It's got a frame around it, and on the writing on the inside, there's writing. It says, "And they lived happily ever after, Brent and Lucy," and it has our wedding date on there, guys. And I'm placed in the perfect position. I can lean over every morning, look up, and be reminded of our anniversary.
Yep. And women, if you don't have one and you get irritated every time somebody asks and how long you guys have been married, and your husband just looks at you
with that deer in the headlights look.
Yep. This actually was a blessing, this gift that we got, this framed artwork that has the date on there. So it just made sure that we put it somewhere strategic.
We will.
Like, we did here next to our bed, and we see it every day.
Now, you did that on purpose, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Women, be strategic about where you place it.
Guys, that's why we need wives, because they're there to help us out, to help us
Suitable
look
helpers.
good, right? Suitable helpers, exactly. So, like I said, we've been married for about 12 years. For you guys that don't know, we're a blended family, and basically what that means is that Lucy and I were both married in a previous relationship. I was married for 13 years in my first marriage, and Lucy, you were married for 5?
We're about 5, yep.
Okay. So, unfortunately, there was divorce that was involved in our previous history on both sides, and we're going to get more into that as we go forward.
But the background really is that we met. He had 3 kids. I had 1. We brought those together and we became a blended family.
Yes.
And with that came all sorts of fun and exciting things throughout these past 13 years. We've been together 13 years.
Yep.
And that's really where a lot of this has birthed from for this ministry, the Covenant Keepers. And like we've said in the past, we've heard like your passion usually comes from your greatest pain. And I know for us that divorce was very traumatic, and it was probably one of our greatest pains in the past.
Yeah, divorce was definitely nothing I recommend to anyone. And anyone that's been through divorce, I'm pretty sure you can say, yeah, that was not good. A lot of times we get divorced and we think, oh man, let's just get divorced and things are going to get great, right? You find out it comes with even its own set of challenges. But covenant keepers, like the bottom line, guys, is, we got together, we got married. We still didn't know how to be a husband and how to be a wife.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
We got to back up, because before we got married, we had long conversations about the vision for who we wanted to be. Even before we even got kind of ministry minded, we started talking about, okay, this is where we were in our first marriages.
But I think I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, babe, but that is a very key point. We knew what we didn't want. Like if you would have asked us, okay, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this.
Yeah, but we also talked about not getting divorced, because we knew that that's one thing we had already done, and it wasn't good.
Well, that was one thing we knew that we did want, but we didn't know how to do it. Like we had no game plan, we had no model. Like I came from a family divorce. My parents were divorced when I was very young. Now your parents were married, and they're still married for over 40 years now, which is super awesome. But we never had like a godly example of a marriage.
Well, no.
I didn't even know there was a godly example of a marriage, to be honest with you.
No, I didn't know that growing up either. I mean, we grew up, of course, I was Catholic. And of course, all that meant was we went to church from time to time, here and there. I mean, we weren't heavily involved in the church. I can't say that I even knew what was in the Bible growing up. But I did know that I always saw my parents together in a loving relationship. They're very affectionate. And I wanted that for myself. And I, of course, when became of age and I was out there on my own, like that's what I was looking for, was what I saw growing up.
Right. Now, even though my parents weren't married, I always wanted to be married because I had this
expectation.
Well, this romantic idea, like what I would see on television. And I'm like, oh man, that looks good. I want that. And I think that was my downfall, because when I got married and it didn't look like what I saw on television, wow, I was disappointed. Like, I always thought that everything was, for lack of a better term, jacked up. Like, you feel like, oh man, I just made a mistake and this isn't working out. So, hey, maybe the next time.
Well, it's interesting because that's where a lot of our kids and young people today get their cues from about marriage and about relationships, is from watching TV and watching movies.
Have you seen a lot of the shows that are on TV today? Like what not our children, because we've kind of put filters on a lot of stuff, but what's available for kids to be watching today?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, I know you say not our children, because at home we have filtered a lot of that out, but they still go out into the world. They go to other people's houses. So, yeah, they have access to so much that it's scary, because, like, you probably saw more of the...
She thinks I'm really old, so were you going to leave it to Beaver?
Yeah, like the Leave It to Beaver mentality and that picture of husband and wife and home and family. Like, the kids don't see that now. Now it's more of, let's move in together.
They're not even getting married anymore. Now it's literally, you hook up with someone. If that's going great, y'all can move in together. And if that's going great, hey, why mess it up? Because this is awesome.
Yeah, why get married?
You don't even need to get married.
It's really a fear-based society, a fear-based mentality that we live in right now. And that's really where all this covenant keeper was birthed from, is from what we went through, the traumas we went through in divorce. Yeah. Coming together and saying, okay, we don't want to go through divorce anymore, but we really have to learn what this is supposed to look like. Yeah. And thank God for God. Yeah. Because I almost said he showed up in our life, but he's always been there. We finally saw him about, a year into our relationship? 2 years?
What it was is we allowed God to transform our hearts
100%.
And our minds, and we made ourselves open and available to listen. Yeah. Because I can tell you, the man that I was before, oh my gosh, he is like 180. I look back at the guy that I used to be, even how I view marriage. And I'm so grateful today that God has shown me and is continuing to show me, because we're always learning, like his plan is always better than our plan.
Yeah. And I mean, I know I said that, like, I grew up seeing my parents together and, affectionate with each other and loving each other, but we still weren't living really on godly principles, or, seeing and learning, okay, what does a godly marriage look like? I just knew, hey, I'm supposed to have a husband that's affectionate with me like my dad is with my mom, and that loves me and provides for me and the family, and that's what I set out to look for. Yeah. So, fast forward to today.
Well, I think even before we go to today, like when we say God, really opened up our hearts and our minds, I mean, God took us out of the jobs that we were in, the paths that we were going down, and really, he gave us a passion and a purpose and a mission. Literally, guys, we're talking going back to college, taking classes, becoming students of marriage. Yeah. He put a passion within our hearts. Guys, we can sit around and read books and we've watched videos.
Well, there's been so much training. God has put us through so much training since we decided to kind of surrender to him, our marriage and our relationship, to understand what the real purpose was for us coming together. Because, guys, there's a purpose for you and your spouse being together. Yeah. Don't ever think for a second that you guys, this happened by accident, you met by chance. No, there's no coincidences, and there's nothing that's happening by chance. This is all very much on purpose. Now, a very important question that I know we were confronted with many years ago, was that question of, what's the purpose for your marriage? What's the purpose for you guys being together?
Yeah.
And if you've never asked that, in your marriage, that's definitely one that you want to reflect on and look at, because you are together for a reason. There is a purpose for you guys being together. Mm-hmm. And really, all this being said is, we decided that there needed to be more people out there standing for this awesome thing called marriage. Mm-hmm. Like the marriage, what it used to be like, where people were eager and excited to get married, it's lost that appeal, and the allure is gone. Now it's all about, oh, I can't wait to move in together. Oh, we had a kid. Maybe we should move in together. Like, it's so crazy. It's so backward.
Mm. Well, yeah, because there's no commitment to it anymore. It's really this contract mentality that where, as long as you keep up your end of the deal and I keep up my end of the deal, hey, we can stay together. But the moment that one of us falls off, you broke the contract, we end it, we go our separate ways, you take yours, I take mine, and we go.
Well, and that's really, now that you bring up the contract mentality, the covenant keeper mentality.
Yes.
What covenant keeper stands for is really, covenant is something that came straight out of the Bible, straight from God, because he made covenants with his people.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get all theological with everybody. If you want to read about covenants that God made with his people, definitely dive into the Bible. It's awesome to read all about what God did with his people. But in marriage, the covenant mentality is one that if somebody decides that, oh, I don't really like you today, oh, I don't know if this is working out, you stand and you say, nope, we have a covenant, which means this is until death do us part. So we're working this out. No matter what, we're going to go seek help. We're going to do whatever it takes. Yeah. But we're in this covenant until death do us part.
Well, the key part here, guys, is that you need to have God in the center of your marriage.
That's the foundation. That's
like
the foundation.
If you don't have God in the center of your marriage, it's going to be impossible to sustain the covenant commitment, because God gives you the power and the strength to keep pushing forward when your flesh says, you know what, I don't want to do that. I don't like it. I don't like what you're acting like right now. I don't like how you're treating me. So you want to withdraw.
Oh, how about this? When somebody says, well, I don't really like the way you look anymore.
Oh, man, that's a big one, yeah.
Because now, if you think about, the me world and the selfie world that we live in, like, you have to look a certain kind of way. Like, everybody's comparing and competing for this, perfect body and the perfect image. That people, everything that comes with marriage, the commitment, just that awesomeness that marriage is supposed to be has completely been wiped away, and down to these very superficial elements that the selfie world, the selfie era has brought. And this is what makes me sad, because this is the world that our kids are growing up in.
Right.
And this is why Covenant Keeper exists right now. This is why our heart and passion is to build marriage up, stand for marriage, help other couples see the importance of marriage, because your kids are watching.
Well, not only that your kids are watching, you are called by God to have a godly marriage. Like, God designed marriage, so he gives you the blueprint, the layout, the foundation for having a healthy marriage and relationship.
Well, and as we discussed, like, we saw something growing up through our parents, through their relationship. Like, I know, like, I wasn't like super Christian and godly,
Super Christian? What does
super
that mean?
Christian. Like, we didn't go to church every day.
You didn't have like a little super cape?
Nope. We didn't go to church every day. We didn't read the Bible every day. But I saw love between my parents, and they made a commitment to each other. And, now it's 42 years later, they haven't broken that commitment, and they get at each other from time to time. But
well, that's part of marriage also that people don't understand.
Well, the conflict.
Yeah, and we'll get more into that in later episodes, because we want to kind of stay focused in where we're at. But that's another thing I was talking about, that romantic idea of what marriage should be. Because if you have this idea that you're never going to have conflict, you're never going to have arguments, you're always get along, this is the big one, you should always be happy, right? That's a lie from the enemy. I mean, God wants you to be happy, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be happy. Right?
Well, I know, for many people like us, being married 12 years doesn't seem like a very long time. But I know being married for almost 12 years, that whole, we should always be happy, is so comical. It's so cheesy.
Right.
Like, guys, if you want to be happy, you can be happy in your marriage, but it's a byproduct. Happiness is a byproduct of the work that you put into your marriage. And these are all the elements that we've talked about throughout the years about, okay, what is marriage supposed to look like? And becoming that, student of marriage to help people understand the importance of why marriage.
Right. Yeah. Well, the big thing here, guys, we want to drive home as far as covenant keepers and the why behind it. To have a successful marriage, you have to have God in the center of it, right? He is the perfect designer of marriage. He has the perfect plan for marriage. We have to discover it, seek it, right? Seek out what God's design for marriage is. I didn't know what being a husband was like. You didn't know what being a wife was like. And not just a husband and wife, but a godly husband, a godly wife, a godly parent. And why that's important for God's kingdom.
Well, a quick point is the kids that we're raising are the adults that are going to be out in our communities. So what are they seeing in husband and wife in marriage?
Right.
Do they believe in marriage by what they're seeing in mom and dad? Do they believe that that's the way to go when you meet somebody, that you don't just jump into, going to live with somebody? Like, what are your kids learning?
Yeah. What are you modeling for them?
Yeah. That's huge. That's another huge element of the covenant keeper ministry is, the covenant between husband and wife and God.
Right.
And and I'm paraphrasing, of course, what you're putting out there for your kids to see, because your kids will be out in the community one day.
Yeah.
So are we sending out kids that are, in essence, going to tear down our community, or kids that are going to help build it up?
That's a good point. And let's wrap it up on that for this episode. It's like, ask yourself that question. What am I sending out into the world today? Am I being an example of Christ in the world today, or am I being an example of something else? Like, you got to know what you want. You got to know what you want your marriage to stand for, what you want your family to stand for. And it starts right now deciding, hey, I want to be a covenant keeper. Hey guys, it's Brent and Lucy from Covenant Keepers. And if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. It will cost you no money out of pocket. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. The cool thing about it is that Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard from Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so many more. It's so easy, and everything you need to make a podcast you can find in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm, that's ANCHOR.FM, to get started today.
Thank you guys for joining us today. We are super excited about where Covenant Keeper is going, and we're so excited that you've decided to be a part of it and stand for marriage with us.
And if you'd like to hear more information and get more connected, you can go to covenantkeeperforlife.com. That's the number 4, covenantkeeperforlife.com. We can get you connected with a newsletter. You can reach out to us if you have questions. You can also get your Covenant Keeper gear. Stand for marriage. Stand for God. You're a covenant keeper.